Hello, this is Hooked by Happenstance, and I'm Kendra, and it's time for another episode of Makes Monday Leavings. Every week, I like to start my crochet podcast off with a word of the week, which is the title of the day, Leavings. I'll tell you a bit about that word, and then we'll talk about how it kind of applies to my week and my crafting as such. According to Merriam-Webster, leavings is a plural noun that means remnants or residue. Or, if you kind of scroll down a bit on Merriam-Webster's, the way it's described in their English Language Learners Dictionary, which frequently is like the best simple definition of a word, it's even better than the kids' dictionary version, is leavings means things that remain after an activity is finished, which is perfect for Scraptember. So we are starting off the final week of Scraptember right now, which is my endeavor during the month of September to finish off projects that I had been making out of combined scraps, or the leavings of past projects. And one of my projects in particular is leavings from one specific item. In fact, one of my completed projects is also leavings from a project that was frogged. So it's an interesting way to look at it, taking leavings and turning them into like a beginning. Like, when you walk through a door to leave one place, you're starting something new. So I'm kind of looking at like the scrap portion as the start of a new thing. And it has been working out for me. I find it an interesting inspiration point to take the leftovers of one thing and turn them into something else. Now, it frequently does mean that you have to do some like creative finagling at the end, because a lot of times you are not necessarily left with enough scraps or leavings from a project to make the next thing you have in mind. We'll see. I don't yet know if I'm going to run short on the things that I'm working on. But we should begin today by talking about the things that are off my hook. So, I finished this Scraptember project this week. This is my weather bracken. I actually have made a full video just about this particular project if you're interested in seeing it. It came out this week. I'll link it on the end screen, but it is the Yarn Scraptember project weather bracken, if you're curious. This is using the Bracken pattern by Heidi May of the Velvet Acorn, and the pattern does not call for the yarn to be striped, but I striped it anyways. This is all Red Heart Super Saver in medium time, frosty green, artistic print, lavender, and beige fleck. And these were going to be a weather blanket a couple years ago. I was unhappy with that project, and so I frogged it in a Freaker Frog, and I just had all of these balls of yarn that were coordinated in a color scheme that I really, really liked, that I had come up with. So I was looking for something to do with them. At the time I wanted a cardigan, and had recently completed making a Bracken cardigan for my son for Christmas, so I decided to make the grown-up version for myself, and I loves it. I loves it so much. It's so comfortable and cute, and there's pictures on Instagram at HookedByHappenstance if you want to see. I put these wood buttons on that I got from Joann's, and it fits really nice. I intentionally made the sleeves a little shorter than I've been making my cardigan sleeves, because that way I can functionally use my hands without constantly like sliding things up. Kind of like I frequently enjoy wearing like a 3/4 sleeve shirt for the same reason. Why not make more 3/4 sleeve sweaters? And if I'm cold, and it was more than 3/4, it was like 5/6. It was like right there at the end. But if my hands are cold, I can always wear fingerless mitts, and they fit nicely because I also made the wrists a little bit wider so that they don't like squeeze. They just kind of sit along my arm. So I'm very, very, very happy with how this turned out, and I want to make all the cardigans, y'all. All of them. There's so many. I have one already started, and I legitimately have 2 more that I want to start. But I need to wait till September is over. I need to finish out Scraptember strong. Then we can move on to making all the cozy things for myself. Because I am endeavoring currently to craft a handmade wardrobe. Now, I already have made many things. I have many sweaters and a lot of shawls and different items, and I've been pretty good. I do wear the things that I make, but I'm endeavoring, especially as it is starting to cool off, to wear something I've made every day. And the more, the better. So like today, I'm wearing this vest that I made like 3-ish years ago, I think. But I've realized there's some things about it that I don't like. I'm trying to, as I go through my closet of things that I've made and I'm wearing them and posting them and all the things, keep in mind why I choose to wear them or choose not to wear things. Are there things that bother me about a particular item that means that I always pass it over? If there are, and those are things that I could fix, then I should fix them. Like this vest, I don't wear very often because I don't like the way that the bottom is. I followed the number of stitches that the pattern told me to put on the bottom, and it doesn't fit me quite right. And that was back when I was still like listening to what patterns told me instead of realizing that I know my body better than a pattern does, and I just trust my gut when I want to change things, which is what I do now. But at that point, I was still trying to follow the letter of the law. Not anymore. But I'm gonna, tomorrow, when I'm not wearing it as a garment, I'm going to actually tear out this outer border, because as you can see, it goes over the bottom border. That's tear out this whole front border and then tear out the bottom border, and then I'll put the front border back on. I think I will like it so much more. I think I'll wear it more. So I'm going to make some of those kind of tweaks, which is a bit irrelevant to this sweater, but this sweater is going to become a staple of my handmade wardrobe. Hopefully this vest will be more part of it. I've been wearing lots of the jewelry that I've made. This is one of my Progress Pretties. Each of these little baubles here is actually a lobster claw Progress Keeper stitch marker. And I actually have these for sale in my shop, and they come with a set of earrings. So I've been wearing a lot of my own jewelry that I've made, and I'm sewing clothes in the interim to go underneath them. Like right now, the clothes that I have under my vest are not things that I've made. They're things that I've purchased. But I would like to get to the point where everything that I wear is something that I've sewn. So as I work up to that, I'm working on the yarny bits during the winter right now and kind of building up that stockpile of like tops and dresses and skirts and things and pants, kind of fill out a wardrobe. So by the time I get to the warmer months where it's not really functional to be wearing sweaters and shawls and things, by then I will have this stockpile of under layers that I can wear as my top layers, and I can just continue on with that whole handmade feel, because I like it. I like the way it feels, I like the way things fit. There is a sense of pride in wearing things that you made as opposed to things that you purchased. If you made it, you never see somebody else wearing the same thing. It's not like a who wore it better kind of situation, because you wore it better because you made it yourself. So, that was just a long story longer about I don't know what, and I forget why I got on that point, but it is a truth that I am trying to move towards that whole handmade wardrobe. And this weather bracken, you'll see a lot of it this winter, I am sure. Another thing that I finished this week, I also talked about in the newest Let Peach Lit Pick video. This was not her pick this week, but this was her pick the time before. Yes, this was the third item. And I made another mat. This is made out of Billowing Blues Peaches and Cream. I used my own pattern, which is called the Simply Satisfying Rug Mat. It is available in Peachless Pattern Pile on my Patreon if you're interested. Haley just made one, actually. She posted it on Instagram, and I really liked it. It was really pretty. And it makes me want to make more. I actually already want to make more of these. Like once I made this one, this is the second one I made, I want to make all the rugs like this. So there's a good chance that there will be rugs happening for Christmas, because I just really enjoyed it. It was the first cotton project that I just really like felt good about in a while. So yeah, there will definitely be some more. Well, that is other than my cotton scrap stash blanket. That one made me feel good, but that was mostly good because I was picking up all the leavings of past projects and things that were being underutilized and using them up, because I like to utilize things. That's very important right now to me. It has moved to one of my top priorities, is utilizing the things you have. So, the next thing, if we're on the topic of Let Peach Lit Picks, we can also move on to what is on my hook. The next thing on my hook is a pair of socks, which Peachlet picked for me in the most recent Peachlet Picks. And I am making the Azalea Socks out of the Ron Strong Step Into Crochet book. I'm using a size D hook and some mystery mill end yarn from Joann's. This is how far I got. I only worked on it one evening this week. but I started the pattern. I made a little mistake in the honeycombing, but I decided rather than rip it out, which I could do, I'm just going to leave it. I want to make the other sock, I'm going to make it properly, and they are not going to match, and I'm not going to care. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So this is where it's at. I really like this yarn. I wish I knew what it was, because I actually made a pair of fingerless mitts, the ones that I entered in the fair this year, out of this same yarn. I have a few more balls of it, so I can make a few more things out of it, but I just love the colors, and the way that they are interspersed is just really nice, the patterning. So I'm looking forward to having these socks. I know that I need to start making socks if I want to have socks to wear as it gets colder. And now that I have nice new hard surface floors in my house, they are corks. They won't get quite as cold, and the ones in the room with the wood stove should stay warmer. But it will be nice to have something on my feet, which means I need to make myself some more socks so that I can do that. And now I don't have to worry about my floor tearing up my socks, because my old floor would tear up the things that I made. So I was a little about wearing handmade socks on it, but these floors will not hurt them. So I need to get cracking on making socks. And the next thing that has been on my hook has been consuming a lot of my time for most of this week, I think, since I made these socks. I took all of the leavings from my Tides of Change. So my nephew's Afghan that I made in the grays and blacks and blues, which was a Franco Randall pattern. And I had leftover yarn because I had to buy like 25 balls of Red Heart Soft, I think, and I didn't use all of them. I had one entire ball of navy, a ball of black that I had used a portion of, but it was still in ball form, and then a number of small balls that had been cut off as I was doing the rounds. Of those 25, you know, big balls, there'd be bits left over where it was too small to make like a full round, or just was too small to worry about. So I would just ball them up. So I decided that I needed to do something with them, and I wanted to do another run through of the typed version of my Cogitation Cowl. My Cogitation Cowl, you'll remember, I think I showed it on the last episode, was originally made out of loops and threads wool-like. Well, I'm using the same pattern but with a different hook size, and making it out of Red Heart Soft in the colors from my Tides of Change. I believe it's charcoal black, light gray, and navy. There was also a royal blue color, this color, that was in the blanket. But I knew that if I included this color in the cowl, I would not pick to wear this cowl. I loved it actually as a centerpiece and like a standout point for my nephew who I made that blanket for, because this is a color that speaks of him. This is not a color that speaks of me. I'm actually wearing a lot of blue lately, and I don't really like blue, and I'm not even necessarily that huge a fan of the way that a lot of blue looks on me, but yeah, this blue particularly is not my thing. So I chose to just leave that out, which was a little difficult for me to take the leavings of one project and use almost all of them, but like disregard one piece. Like the completionist in me is a little annoyed by that idea, but I think that I will be most happy with this project as something that I will like legitimately use. It'll be fun to get to use this piece because it will have that connection to my nephew's blanket and all the things. It'll also be nice because like I made the pattern and the cogitation is a meaningful thing to me. So yeah, so I've been working through this. What I used was the little balls first, and I just kind of cycled through them at whatever size the balls were. So I did one of each color, and then I worked through them again, and then I started running out of, you know, like having balls of those colors, so I just kept going through. Here is the big ball of black that I had left, and now I'm working off that ball of navy, and we'll see. There's a good chance I'm not going to make it. I don't really know, and I haven't decided what my solution is going to be. Who knows? At that point, I do have an entire ball of the blue. I might add the blue in. I don't really know, but this is where I'm at. I'm 100 and something rows in, but I like it, and I think it is gonna end up being like a cowl. It's gonna be one of those giant like blankety cowls that I can probably wrap around a couple of times or wear more like a wrap. Anyways, so my camera battery died, and I'm not exactly sure where I was and what I was saying, so that's about it about the Cogitation Cowl. You'll hear more about it when I finish that test of it. And then once I finish that test, that pattern will be thrown onto Peachless pattern pile as well. And I have one more project that I worked on this week, but first I need to remove a cat from the project so that you can see it. And she's not going to be very happy. So it'll just be a second. So this is the final project that is on my hook. It is my Better Mood blanket, which these squares, if you'll remember, had originally been part of a mood blanket, which I then decided to turn into a chair cover. I went around each of the squares with some Dove Colored Super Saver, and I stitched them all together. I actually used a slip stitch to put everything together, and then I went ahead and started making it so it would fit my chair. So I made this little strip here, which holds this flap around the front so it stays in place. I actually am going to go through and put one more row in here to tighten this up a little. And then up here, I also slip stitched these kind of to make a square that kind of slips over the top to kind of cozy it. And I have made this strip also out of scraps, and it is going to get slip stitched onto here and sewed down the sides just a little bit. It'll make this back longer and it'll keep it on, and as you can see, like the leather of my chair had been scratched up by my cats. It'll cover some of that. And I just think it's so much more fun to see in the background when I do things, and just when I walk into my office. It's so colorful and lively, and I like it. Now there are going to be a decent amount of ends to deal with because of the fact that all those granny squares have ends, and none of them have been woven in. And then there's ends from my, like, joining everything together. Part of me thinks that the way it's all sitting cozied is if I just pulled all the ends to the back, no one would ever know they were there. Now, I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do, but it might be what I do, because if it's just for me, and if it's not causing a problem when I do that, then why go to all that energy to weave things in? I don't know. I might change my mind, though, because it will make it more durable for washing and things if everything's woven, and I would like it to be a durable piece of usable equipment in my office, because that means a chair, and my cats sit on it, so it gets dirty and all the things. But anyways, now that I'm standing, I'm just gonna stay this way and let you know that on the end screen next to me is a link to some other videos from the channel in case you've missed out on anything, and there's also a button to subscribe if you'd like to see my content just float into our feed as it occurs. Down in the box below is a link to my Patreon page where you can find that Peachlet Patterns piles that I talked about. Peachlet's Pattern Pile. I love alliteration, but my tongue, not so much. Also, a link in the description to my online shop if you're interested in project bags, project pretty jewelry, and some other fun and new things that are coming to the shop. So, I will see you all next time. Bye!